Tonight's species is the Batman of Florida waters, and when this fish attacks the bait, he puts up his sail, making his presence look even more intimidating. I personally love the way they jump, and that's why we are talking about sailfish tonight on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
It's 2021 and we are back with more bites than ever right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, with some long overdue reports from around the state. Rick, I don't know about you, but I am so glad to be back.
Me too, Brie. And you know what I'm really excited about is sharing all the new products that we've been working on and testing over the last 6 months, and certainly showing those to our viewers throughout the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about.
It is. Well, Rick, before we get to chat with our special guest from CCA and Taco Marine, and before we get to all the exciting sailfish bite banter with our captains, let's say hi to someone I know we've all missed over the off season, Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench. Dave, are you ready for an action-packed season?
Oh, I'm very ready, and you know what? Everybody didn't miss us, you know. My wife is very happy that I'm out now and doing something, because, you know, I was putting that couch through a big workout.
Well, we missed you. We missed you, Dave.
Good.
All right, well, let's start off this season in the Fish Bites East region with none other than Captain Mike Holliday. Great to see you, Mike. Tell us what we're catching this weekend.
God, I'm so excited to be back. I'm ready to be fishing again. It's kind of nice to kick the season off. We're on the tail end of the sailfish bite in my region. It's actually been a pretty good spring. While you won't find those big schools of sails, you can have multiple fish days by targeting them around the reefs and wrecks in 70 to 120 feet of water. The best action right now is from Lake Worth Inlet south, fishing around the bait schools. So when you mark a good chunk of bait, you want to keep working that area. The boats that are fishing live bait, either drifted or out on a kite, they kind of have an advantage because they can keep their baits in the zone where the fish are a little bit longer. But, you know, there's still going to be plenty of action, either slow trolling a live bait or trolling smaller rigged ballyhoo with a pink or a blue and white skirt. Right now, the average sailfish in my region is going to be like 30 to 40 pounds. I have a photo. That's Captain Chris Britton of Jensen Beach with a nice sailfish he released. He caught that fish in 122 feet of water on a live threadfin. It's also been a very good year for kingfish in the region. And our April and May bites are historically the strongest of the year. You'll find the kings throughout the region, on the offshore bar south of Fort Pierce. You'll find her on the junk pile off Jensen Beach, the 6 Mile Reef off Stewart, the Loran Tower Ledge down in Hope Sound, the edge of the reef off Jupiter, and also on the roll down off Boynton right now. And when that wind goes to the west, the fish charge a beach. So places like the Kingfish Hole off Jupiter Island and the Pines and Vero Cove area off Vero get a lot of those big smokers on them this time of the year. You want to target the fish with live blue runners, goggle eyes, mullet, threadfin, Spanish sardines, even live pilchard. Put them out on a number 4 R&R wire stinger rig with 20-pound tackle so you don't pull hooks. Slow troll the baits, make a lot of turns. It seems like a lot of the bites come when you change course. The average kingfish right now is going to be like 8 to 18 pounds with fish to probably 30 pounds or more in the mix.
All right, let's go inshore, Hollywood.
Well, this is a time of year we get extreme low tides, and that takes a lot of the snook off the seawalls and moves them to the deeper docks. Places like the docks on the Ermine River, the Loxahatchee River, the St. Lucie River, and the Indian River are all going to have fish on them. The snook are focused on mullet, so start your day throwing topwater plugs or a saltwater assassin dye dapper in the mullet colors. And then as the sun gets high in the sky, switch over to a live mullet, a pilchard, or a threadfin. If just action is what you want, go to the inlets. There's a lot of smaller fish around them right now. You can target those with a copper juice colored 4-inch saltwater assassin sea shad, or you can put a live shrimp on a jig head and do pretty well as well. When the wind's blowing, you can fish areas like the Roosevelt Bridge, North and South Bridge in Fort Pierce, or the A1A Bridge in Jupiter, or even a Lake Worth Bridge. Fish those at night with an R&R flare hawk jig or big swimming plugs. On those windy nights, that's when you're going to rack those big fish up. On the outgoing tides, you can fish a live shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head from now till about May. Average snook's gonna be 4 to 10 pounds. And I have a photo there. That's Captain Ed Zayak at Jensen Beach with a nice snook that one of his clients caught on a topwater plug. The other thing going, April is one of the best months of the year for pompano. As the water warms up, the fish start their migration north along our beaches. So some of the better locations to target pompano right now are on the south end of the region, around Double Roads in Juneau Beach, Hope Sound Beach, and then up in my region, Tiger Shores Beach, and then the beaches on South Hutchinson Island, south of Fort Pierce. The key is to look for that green water that you can see down in like 3 feet. They call it kingfish green. Find that good water, you'll find the fish. And during the spring run, a lot of the pompano are caught in the trough close to shore. So you don't need to have a super long pompano rod to reach out to get them. In fact, a lot of commercial guys this time of the year will throw one rod in the trough and one rod out deep, see which one gets the bites, and then bring both rods into this area. Bait up with a FISHBITES easy flea or a live or cooked sand flea with a FISHBITES shrimp, crab, or clam strip on it. Then if the sand flea comes off, you still have a bait out there. Standard 3-hook pompano rig. Average pompano is going to be 1 to 3 pounds.
Mike, give us a bass report. It's been way too long.
Yeah, the bass bite on Lake Okeechobee right now is focused on big fish, not big numbers. I was talking to Captain Nate Shellen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He said the key is to find the grassy areas, be on them when the sun comes up. Start your day throwing spinner baits with a gold willow leaf blade or a swim jig or Bass Assassin little tappers in that green moon or that snowstorm color, or the water's dirty, maybe green pumpkin. Then as the sun gets up, the artificial bite slows down. You can switch to live shiners. We're coming off the full moon 3 days ago, so there'll be some late spawning fish up in the shallows around King's Bar and Tin House Cove. Also, there'll be some post-spawn fish on those outside bulrush lines. You can flip those reeds with a June bug colored jingle bug, catch the biggest fish of the day. Lake Okeechobee right now, not a lot of fish are being produced, but 1 to 3 pounds is the average, with fish to 9 pounds this week.
Hollywood, we appreciate it. You really did a good job of kicking our season off, and we're going to take a look at the T&H Marine hotspots from the East region. Mike says that you want to go inshore. The flounder around the catwalks and the piers on Jensen Beach Causeway use live shrimp on a jig head or a white saltwater assassin curly-tailed jig. And then offshore, Spanish mackerel in Peck's Lake off of Hobe Sound. Use jigs, spoons, or small lip plugs, either casting or maybe even try trolling them.
I love we've added another captain to our FaceTime list this season.
How about that?
It's awesome. We're going to get them all on there eventually. Technology.
You hope?
I hope.
They are fishing guides.
I know. The Alta Equipment Keys region is up next with some favorable conditions headed your way. So let's listen up to Captain Randy Tao with the latest and the greatest.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, here in the Alta Construction Equipment region, the Keys right now, they're waiting for the conditions for a good sailfish bite. And unlike the wintertime where we're counting on cold fronts and north winds to push these fish down, we've got fish here right now, but we need the condition that's going to favor them to bite. Yesterday, there was a great condition on the reef. The current was really going up the road strong. There was a little flurry of sailfish, guys slow trolling ballyhoos, guys with the kite with live goggle eyes. And as soon as that current changes or it slows down, that bite slows down and there's not much to it. So what a lot of guys are waiting for and hoping for, and especially this weekend, if you've looked at the weather, we've got a little cold front coming, and that wind's going to come around out of the east-northeast at about 25 later on in the week. And when you get the condition like that and you get a northeast current against the wind, it creates a tailing condition. And last year we had a banner tailing condition for about 10 days. And we're on par, hopefully, for something like that again. Now, it doesn't happen every year, but it seems like our springs the last few years have produced a really solid sailfish bite. And live bait like cigar minnows, pilchards, any kind of small bait that you can cast, because a lot of these fish are going to be up on the surface and they're literally going to be tailing down sea, and you're going to see them and cast to them. And that one fish might turn into quite a few. So be ready, have rods ready. You know, don't expect just one at a time. There could be possibilities of packs of fish, and it's pretty exciting, especially if you get into that condition where they're tailing. And it's just one of those things you really want to kind of gear up for it, and hopefully we're going to see some of that. I've got a photo from Captain Alex Adler on the Kalex out of Bud and Mary's. He is one of the best down here for catching sailfish, and I've got a photo of him releasing a sailfish here But I want to say you have Ray Rocher in your house tonight, who is probably one of the absolute best at catching sailfish, and I would certainly pay close attention to any advice and anything he might let you guys know about sail fishing. I would take it to heart because I would sure like to listen to it as well. He is one of the best.
All right.
The African pompano, the African pompano, we don't really target it very much. It's kind of an odd fish, but they've been around the last few months. We've had a lot of them on the offshore wrecks from 80 to 150 feet, and they're fun to catch, and they're on the bigger side, kind of like a permit. And these fish have been schooled up on some wrecks off of Marathon, off of Islamorada and Key Largo, and I've seen reports and I've seen pictures of guys catching some really nice Africans, and you want to gear up for them. You can't really do it with a light spinning rod. You want an adequate, heavy spinning rod to get the job done. A live bait like a pilchard is ideal, cigar minnow, even a pinfish will work good for them. They like live bait, and they're just a really nice, hard-fighting fish to catch. And sometimes we have them and sometimes we don't. And this year we've had a pretty good number of them, so it's nice to share what's going on with them. And I've got a photo of John Burnett with his big African we caught the other day off the Eagle Wreck here in Islamorada.
Nice. Let's go inshore, bub.
Well, you know, we're going to talk about bonefish, and as you know, these aren't my favorite species, only because they don't play well in the sandbox. But guys have been catching them, and there's been some around, so I have to give credit where credit's due. Now, on a hard east wind and an incoming tide, you're going to have a condition where the wind and the current are going the same direction, and that's really what you want to look for to find these slimy bonefish, especially in the bayside of Islamorada. Now, the lower Keys in Key West, they've got a lot more bonefish down there at times. It seems like they didn't have 10 years ago, but they've got some really good quality bonefishing down that way. And a lot of it is on a moving tide, whether it's coming in or going out. And, you know, a live shrimp works really well. Some guys like to sight fish for them, and there's other guys that just blind fish. I call it gentleman fishing, where you cast out a couple of shrimp and you wait for that bonefish to find you. And it's pretty consistent, and a lot of guys do it. I've got a photo of Captain Donnie Bembo. He fishes out of the Lorelei with Skins and Fins charters here in Islamorada, and him and his lady angler are releasing a nice bonefish. They were doing just that.
Tell me about the tarpon, bub.
The tarpon fishing, you know, here it is early March, and there's quite a few around. They're not behaving the way we want them to. There's a few being caught on the fly rod in the backcountry. There's some showing up around the bridges, but pretty consistent live mullet is getting the job done. And certainly on that moving water, whether it's incoming or outgoing, I know the incoming tide up around Channel 2, Channel 5, and Long Key Bridge has been pretty good. Guys getting some good bites, and I have heard there's some fish down at the 7 Mile Bridge as well. But we're in the beginning of a great tarpon season ahead, and there's quite a few fish, and I'm sure as we start to get into April, that bite is only going to increase. They're going to get better, and they'll be showing up on the ocean side, coming down the shoreline for the fly fishing guys, which it's that time of year. And I've got a photo from Captain Greg Poland. He got this really cool jumping shot of a tarpon they released the other day right beside his boat.
All right, Randy, we appreciate you batting number 2 this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Florida Keys hotspots, inshore tarpon, fish around the bridges using live mullet, anchor on the ocean side with the incoming tide any time of the day. And then offshore, those sailfish that he talked about, fish with live bait from 100 to 200 feet of water, slow troll with ballyhoo, goggle eyes in your kite for the best results, Brie.
Glad to see his love for bonefish is still there.
Oh, he's
just, thought with the age, you know, it'd get a little like lovier, but it's getting worse. Oh, all right, the STARTRON Central West region is coming up on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. But first, we're headed to the CCA workbench for Dave Farrell's first 2021 Rigs and Techniques debut, and joining him is the one and only Ray Rocher.
You heard how much Randy liked Ray.
I did.
He doesn't like the bonefish, but he likes Ray for good reason.
Yes, he does.
We're gonna talk about catching sailfish all over the state.
And we'll be listening. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats, always in the game. Fenwick, SiriusXM Marine, weather, fishing mapping, entertainment. Penn, let the battle begin. Stiffy, innovators in shallow water performance. And Daiquiri Deck, Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Reliability. Yamaha is known for it. And it's something boaters value, because these days, few things are built to last. When we find something that is, we hold on to friendships, traditions, outboards. Because every second on the water is sacred. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run, for life. Because reliability starts here.
What started in the flats and bays has migrated offshore. GPS-guided trolling motor technology has moved to boats in the 35-plus foot class and allowed anchoring capabilities on most center consoles in any depth of water. From snook and redfish inshore to grouper and swordfish way out deep, Rodan Marine Systems has a GPS anchor to hold your vessel on location. Set it, forget it, catch more fish.
Every year, Noble Air Charter flies over 20,000 outdoorsmen and families just like you economically to over 300 Bahamian and Florida destinations. Noble Air Charter makes a substantial investment improving booking and aircraft route planning to create the most affordable and economical flight possible. And tomorrow, Noble Air's team will rise to the challenge to raise the bar yet again.
Yeah, we're here at the CCA workbench for the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigging and Techniques. We got Ray Rocher here. He's the king sailfish guy in South Florida, but
on a good day,
he knows how to fish in all the areas of Florida, and we're going to go into that a little bit because you don't only use one type of bait in one type of area,
right,
which, you know, is what I end up doing because I go to one place and I ended up doing what they do. And But you can do a lot of different things all around Florida because we have sailfish from the Keys all the way up the East Coast. So when you're out there trying to get after them, what are your first line of attack?
First line of attack in South Florida, we kite fish a lot. So a bait about this size, you know, big pilchard threadfin herring. This is a blue runner, very common, has caught probably more sailfish than any other bait because of its, I guess, it's a favorite bait of a lot of sailfish. We charter fishing, we don't always have the goggle eyes.
Right.
And
those are hardy and easy to get.
Have them out there some days, and the big runner gets bit, and not the goggle eye. Anyways, kite fishing, we hook them in the back. We'll talk about this in a second, but it allows you to orient the bait from a kite more horizontal as he's swimming. Right? Then in the Keys, jump down south.
Here, let me hold them.
Okay, you can hold them. Then you smell like you went fishing.
Right. When you're doing some live baiting down in the Keys, when you're trying to cast to the showering ballyhoos. This is the kind of rig you use.
We use a straw sometimes. I know it looks a little simplistic, but it helps keep the weed off the bill. So when you're slow trolling and dragging that ballyhoo around, it's easy to get weed caught on it. Of course, that's not good.
Right.
And that's, you can also use copper wire, but either one will help keep that leader tied to the bill, and that's what you want.
And you want them to be secure on there, so it's not sliding up and down. I've actually had them jump away from sailfish. They were so lively doing that.
And then we go into dead baiting. That's more common. I mean,
trying to cover ground, because you got a bigger area to cover most of the time.
And a lot of people think that dead baiting only applies up in Fort Pierce, Stewart, and points north. But this year,
it's the X on the head there. Isn't it?
This is the old school X on the head floss. And then we have the swiveled rig. But believe it or not, in December, out of Miami, we probably raised more sailfish on dead bait while we were kind of moving around, grouper trolling, looking for better water, than we did on the kites, which most people wouldn't equate Miami with dead baiting. But a good swimming ballyhoo, that bait will swim better and look better dead than he will alive. Tails paddling, he looks just amazing. Right. Anyways. So I drew a little diagram here to kind of talk about in South Florida how we can get a better footprint, more exposure to get our baits in front of more fish.
We have a predominant north current because of the Gulf Stream.
Right. And your big fish are generally swimming against the current. It's just like trout in a river. You never see trout sitting sideways. They're always nosed into the current. Saltwater is really not that much different. If you had an east wind, which I would say is our most common wind off Miami, we'll fly that kite to the west, and our flat lines, because the boat's getting moved to the west by the wind, our flat lines go to the east, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But we can also mix in some weighted baits, a shallow and a deep weighted bait, a long flat, short flat, coupled with 1, 2, or 3 kite baits. Now you've just grown your footprint versus my hand might represent where your troll baits would be if you were bumping. You know, little box, little small area. So you see how that expands your coverage, and that's probably the single most important facet of presentation.
Is covering ground.
Bigger footprint.
Now, when you're using the deep baits, are you using different baits versus the ones that you're fishing on the top?
Not necessarily, although cigar minnows probably get a little bit more time down deep. Snappers, kingfish, and sailfish. And we'll fish those on a titanium 30-pound rig, 30-pound titanium leader, about 36 inches long. We make them with about 6 or 7 different hooks, like a treble hook for the bottom, kingfishing. And of course, circle hooks, etc. But the point is, by having a variety of baits and a variety of positions, you're going to interact with more fish. And that's kind of what you see here, is more fish coming down in different depths. Sometimes it's a whole pack, as you know, was alluded to in the reports just a minute ago. Sometimes you see one and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4. So that's the other benefit of a big presentation like this. Let's say you hook a sailfish on this flat. Well, you can turn the boat and kind of angle south, knowing these fish are going to go south, and pull these kite baits over in front of them. We do that a lot with a mixture of flat lines and kites. That's kind of a little more advanced, but the kites, remember, will go downwind or upwind. Whichever way you put the boat, they're going to stay in that relative position, and that's the benefit of the kite.
Now, what about that balloon there? You're using those as a release for your flat lines?
Yeah, you can wrap that around your line, get a bite, and basically keeps that bait elevated near the surface. A marker, too. So like here where you're using the 2 flat lines, you want a long one and a short one.
Keep them separated.
Yeah. And you can put a little floss loop on your line or even a rubber band, and you don't have to necessarily have this release. It can actually be attached to the line, and then you just unwrap the phone wire. The plastic-coated phone wire won't hurt your line.
Right.
So you can unwrap it and put it in the boat.
So what's your favorite gear? I see you got a spinning reel and a conventional.
Conventionals are what we would use primarily when we're kite fishing.
Right.
You know, we use a cork and a ring. The ring is what attaches into these clips up here. You know, the kite clips basically are means to hold the ring, and then of course allow a tension knob to have a variety of different tension settings based on the amount of wind, size of the bait, etc. And then on the spinners for ballyhoo, for instance, have a little bail wire. I know that looks pretty simple, but it works.
And that's where you use to hold the bait in position?
Yeah, slow trolling, bail open, pin the wire on your line, get a bite, lets it go.
So when you're trolling these like these are the new ones you were talking about before with the swivel now. When you're trolling these, what kind of speeds can you troll these before they start to break apart?
4 to 6 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
Pretty common trolling speed. You know, they'll actually, if you notice, I rig mine always with a stitch in the pec fin.
Okay, and hold the head on.
That's so you avoid the sancocho.
Yeah. Well, that's the dreaded sancocho.
At least it helps. You know, it's just something to hold the body to the head. So that's always important to me when I'm trolling a deadbait, trying to get a second bite if you miss them.
All right, man. Well, hey, that was quick, wasn't it?
Man,
thanks a lot. Thanks for coming.
Pleasure.
That was gold, Rick.
That was
Go figure.
You know what I also learned? What I learned is I didn't know we could sancocho in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
No sancocho?
Sancocho? I thought that was only Guatemala.
No sancocho. Oh, okay. Spring break has sprung in the STARTRON Central West region, so let's hear what Captain Jeff Page has to say about our approaching springtime bite. Welcome back, Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to the new Captain Page Pathfinder studio here.
Looks good.
All right.
Love it.
You know, we are not the East Coast, that's for sure, when it comes to sailfish. But that being said, right around now, end of February, March, on into kingfish and tarpon season, it's all about where those big schools of bait end up. But if they're in close, there's guys that are going to catch sailfish while they're out kingfishing. And then there's guys that'll go out and target the sailfish. And it's pretty basic, just like what Ray, and it was really good to hear Ray as well. But, you know, sometimes they're out up to 30, 40 miles out, but right now with all the bait that we've got in, with all the kingfish over our near shore artificial reefs and wrecks, the guys are catching the sailfish mixed in with the kings in 40 to 70 feet of water, and they like to troll naked swimming ballyhoo behind teasers or either spreader bars or daisy chains. And the key has been having a lot of live thread fins. Even big pilchards will work also to put those out as well. And don't be surprised while you're kingfishing, like my good buddy Captain Will Osborne found out while he was kingfishing, he hooked a big sailfish, and that's my first photo tonight. Captain Will and his crew. And then I've got another photo of the biggest kingfish Captain Rob Roberts has ever got alongside the boat, and that's the only photo he had, but I figured I'd get it on for him. And that was right off of Sarasota as well. Species 2, red grouper. Red grouper bite remains strong, especially for the guys that want to take some fillets home for dinner. 90 to 110 feet. Guys are going to be catching them. I've heard guys catching them in as close to 70 feet, but Captain Tim No's been telling me 90, 110, and he's been fishing with a mixture of live bait and live pinfish and frozen sardines, getting the job done. Standard bottom rig will get it done. I've got a red grouper photo tonight of a good friend, Mr. Scott Gettle, and his crew with a bunch of nice red groupers and mangrove snappers he caught on a recent outing out in the Gulf.
Let's go inshore, Paige.
Inshore snook. You know, Rick, the water temperature jumped up from 64 to 74 in a week, 10 days, and the snook fishing is on fire. Down south in the back bays of Bull Bay and Turtle Bay, around all your oyster bars, the fish are staging out in the deeper water, waiting for the tide to come in. They're moving up around the oyster bars. You could throw topwater plugs like the new Berkley Jaywalker 100. I personally like it in the chrome color, but the bone works very well too. Live pilchard, you can cork him or free line him. Throw it in as close to the oyster bar or the mangrove shoreline as you can. To the north, they're catching them off Rattlesnake Key, as well as up in Terracea Bay around all the oyster bars. We've got a really good snook photo tonight of good client Bob Wegner with a nice Sarasota Bay snook. And my last species tonight, you know, the early spring redfishing, Rick, is usually pretty good, and this year is no exception due to good closures and management of the species and huge population improvement. I've heard good reports of guys down in the harbor on the east side around Alligator Creek to Burnt Store catching them, on the higher tide up on the bar and on lower tide out on the edges. And then in Lemon Bay on the Spoil Islands west of Indian Mounds Park. And what the guys are doing there, they're getting up into the mullet school, something Hollywood mentioned, and throwing that dyed apper or that golden brim sea shad in the mullet schools and just slow rolling it through there. And then also a gold spoon, nothing beats a gold spoon. Same pattern, just roll it through the mullet and you're gonna come up with some nice redfish. My last photo tonight is of our good friend, Captain Skipper Ed Arsenal, with a nice redfish he caught on a Berkley stick shad.
All right, thanks so much, Paige. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. Good report, bud. Inshore, speckled trout, throw a topwater plug on the grass flats edges of Rattlesnake Key. The chrome Berkley Jaywalker has been the most effective, and then kingfish, troll lip plugs or spoons around the bait schools, holding the near shore reefs and structure.
FaceTime captains are killing it.
Yeah,
all right, well, we're here in a new year and a new CCA Star competition presented by Yamaha. And this summer, every fish you catch could be a winner. Even tonight's species, sailfish, along with dolphin and kingfish, can be entered to win big. Catch the first Tigris Tag dolphin to win $10K in cash. And in the Canon Kingfish division, you can win Canon downriggers with a Yamaha motor. Make your offshore more rewarding this summer and win your share of $500,000 in prizes and scholarships by entering into Star and be a CCA member before you get on the water.
Of course.
It's never too early to register, so head to ccaflstar.com. All right, sit tight, my Floridians. We're checking out the R&R Tackle Southeast and Real Legends Central East regions. Plus, we're catching up with our very good friend from CCA when we return right here on the Florida
Insider
Fishing Report.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Bahio, fresh eyes for a rich life. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. R&R Tackle, from our tackle box to yours. Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit one of our 4 locations or online at floridacoasteq.com. And Garmin, plot your paradise.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you. The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. ALVEY Sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. ALVEY's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wine is perfect for any surf challenge. ALVEY reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the ALVEY also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alveus.com.
Welcome back, and joining me is my good buddy Brian Gorski, the Executive Director of CCA Florida. You know, Brian, we got a really cool contest. Last year, that Chevelle really inspired me to do something special for CCA. So, you know, my 1952 5-window Chevy pickup hot rod that I have, I built this in 2016, and I thought it'd be a great raffle prize. So we've donated it to you. It's got a 350 crate motor, 400 horsepower, a turbo 400, automatic transmission, power windows, power steering, air condition. It's got all the fun bells and whistles. So.
I guess it does, Rick. I know a lot of that went over my head because I'm more about the boats and so forth. But I tell you what, coming in here today and seeing it in person after seeing it on pictures, it's better than I could have ever imagined, and it's going to be exciting. We're running a 6-month promotion. This is going to be a raffle. Tickets are $25 a piece or 5 for $100, and we're going to draw the winner of this bad boy on the season finale.
The last show.
The last show of the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
So a cool little twist also, guys, that we're going to do is because it's a 6-month-long promotion, we thought every time somebody would buy a 500th ticket, whoever that person is, we're going to draw. And so if you're in the first 100, you could potentially win at the 500. If you're in the second 100 or whatever, it's really going to be a cool way to go.
Yeah, because obviously you're going to have one grand prize winner, but every 500th ticket, we're going to draw another winner, whether it be a cooler, rod and reel combo.
A variety of different things.
Absolutely, throughout the entire 6 months.
Well, it's going to be cool. How do we get tickets?
All you got to do is go to ccaflorida.org// hot rod.
How do you see? You're just not used to going in reverse. I understand. All right, man, guys, get your tickets, right, Brie? You got some? You gonna order some?
I'm definitely ordering some. I didn't win that Chevelle, but I might win Rick's truck, and that would be fun. You should enter. All right, let's welcome back the R&R Tackle Southeast region, which is reeling and ready to go with Captain Jimbo Thomas. Tell us what kind of spring break sailfish frenzy we're getting into, Jimbo.
You got it. And hey, gang, great to be back with the R&R Tackle Southeast region. Now, we do have some of the best sail fishing in the world right here in the Southeast region. Now, we do catch sails throughout the year, but December through May are peak months. Now, the key to catching sails is finding blue water and north current, and it's a good idea to contact other fishermen, friends up and down the coast to find out where that blue water and the north current is, and that's where you're going to have the best sail fishing. Now, the most effective way to target sales is with live herrings, goggle eyes, sardines, and pilchards. You want to fish them under a kite, depths anywhere from 80 to 250 feet of water or deeper. And if there isn't enough wind for the kite, you can slow troll or drift those live baits. Now, 20-pound tackle with 10 to 15 feet of 40 to 60-pound mono or fluoro leader and a 6.0 to 7.0 circle hook is your standard sailfish setup. Now, lately, the sailfish bite has been spectacular on the days when we can find some north current, but and there's been some double-digit catches even on those days. And then on the slow or no current days, the bite has just been fair in anywhere from 100 to 200 foot range. Now, just to give you an example of how good the sail fishing is in the southeast region, there's a tournament that took place in the first week of March, and there were 749 sailfish caught and released in 2 days of fishing. I mean, that's as good as anywhere in the world, right here, southeast region. Now, also offshore, kingfish bite has been steadily picking up in the last week throughout the region. Now, these kings are being caught on the troll and also on live baits. The troll has been producing more fish, but the fish caught on live baits have been much larger size. Now, on the troll, a pink sea witch and a 4 to 6 inch bonita strip pulled behind a planer, number 2 or 3 planer. That's been working well, along with 3.5 drone spoons pulled behind that planer or on a wire line. The larger kings, they've been eating live pilchards and herrings fished under the kite or on the drift. And the best depths have been anywhere from 80 to 150 feet, with the best bite being early in the morning or late in the afternoon. Now, I got a photo here. This is Clay Ivey of Amarillo, Texas, with a 32-pound king that he caught aboard the Thomas Flyer off of Key Biscayne last week. Now, moving inshore, there's been tarpon around the bridge and the dock lights at night, around the bridges and around those dock lights at night, and also in and around the inlets. Around the bridges, look for the tarpon feeding around the shadow lines on the outgoing tide. If you can find a color change or a current rip, that's where those tarpon are most likely going to be feeding. That's where you want to drift your live shrimp and your live crabs through. Then around the inlets and off the beaches, live crabs and live shrimp are also the best baits. And if the water's real clear, you might want to scale down with lighter leaders or smaller hooks. All of the fishing around the bridges and the inlets taking place in the evenings. But then during the daytime, some of these same fish, they're being caught in and around some of the deeper holes in the bays and along the intercoastal waterways. They're eating live crabs and live baits, as well as swimming plugs and even flies. Then in the same areas as the tarpon, there's also been quite a few snook around. Most of these snook bites have been on live baits, pinfish, herring, and live shrimp. Those are favorites, but any good live bait should get you some snook bites. You want to drift your baits along the jetties and ledges of the inlets using a Jupiter rig. That's going to get your bait down a little deeper. And the best fishing has been in the evenings and preferably on the outgoing tide if you're fishing in the inlets. If there's no bait around, you can try bouncing chartreuse, R&R, flare hawk jigs along the bottom, or trolling medium to deep diving swimming lures. And then around the bridges and those lit docks, you want to drift your live baits or work artificials through the shadow lines on the outgoing tide.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the southeast region. Inshore, big tarpon are eating live crabs and shrimp drifted through the inlets in the evening. Then offshore, fish live baits in 100 to 300 feet of water has been producing a mixed bag of sailfish, kingfish, blackfin tunas throughout the entire region.
That's a lot of sailfish. 2
Yeah.
days, crazy.
You want to hear what's sad?
What?
The C1 team on day one was in first for 8 hours out of 8.5, and we fell to 28th by the end of the tournament.
Ooh.
What a crash.
Ouch. But at least you were out there.
Yeah, we were out there. We scared them for a few minutes.
Well, at least you had your moment in the spotlight. All right, Real Legends Central Easterners, time to check in with Captain Jim Ross, who has some great news if you're chasing some sails. Hi, Jim.
Jimmy,
Jim
you there?
Ross, where are you?
Well, let's do his report here, Bree. I got it right here. So Jimmy says that in the sailfish action is usually pretty good throughout the region from now through late May. And these fish love to chase naked ballyhoo. You want to rig your ballyhoo with a chin weight, split bill them with great swimming action on the flat lines and short riggers. And if you want them to skip along the surface on the outrigger lines, leave the weight off. And then troll these at 3 to 4 knots. Live sardines, menhaden, or pilchers provided great action for guys who have found the concentration of fish and want to have multiple shots at them. You can either slow troll them around the balls of sailfish, or even better, use a pitch bait rigged with a 7/0 tournament circle hook. Offshore also, he's reporting yellowfin tunas. The boaters venturing to the far side of the Gulf Stream are finding good numbers of tunas, 75 to 95 mile mark on most days. The high-speed trolling lures, lip plugs rigged on 50 to 80 pound class tackle, pulled at 10 to 14 knots will get the job done on most of the days. So you can also try skirted ballyhoos trolled slower on 30 to 50 pound tackle. And here are a few tips to make the yellowfin experience a better one. Do not run over the schools of fish. Get way out in front of them and swing your lures through the area where they are feeding. If they get close to your boat, then they will know that you're there, and that's not going to work so well. Target your efforts by using your sounder and small bird packs. Larger packs usually indicate skipjacks or blackfin tunas and not the preferred yellowfin.
Hey, Rick Jim, let's go inshore.
All right, I'm going inshore then, Brie. The inlets are placed to be if you want the place to catch a big snook right now. All 3 inlets have good numbers of fish in them and that they have been eating at all hours of the day and the night. Just about any kind of live bait is working well. He's caught them on croakers, pilchards, menhadens, greenies with all his charter clients, and have heard that shrimp and pinfish are working as well at times. The higher stages of the tide has been better than the lower stages, but anytime that you can go and catch them seems to be a pretty decent bite right now. He has a photo of Dave and Ben Marshall. They got this slot-sized fish on a live shrimp at the Port Canaveral jetties, as you can see in the background. Black drum is his last species. The black drum action should continue to get better and better now that most of the schooling fish are done spawning. For the spring, crab, cut, or clam, live shrimps, fish near the rock bottoms or the bridges in the region are one of the best ways to get these fish to strike. If you find the schools on the flats, try casting a Pimp Daddy colored saltwater sea shad tipped with a piece of FISHBITES crab and bounce them or drag them on the bottom until you feel the strike. Most of the drum are 20 to 35 pounds near the bridges, and the shoreline fish are averaging 1 to 5 pounds. He also has a photo of John Daly with a handful of black drum. That's a nice big black drum.
That is. I remember doing that with Jim.
Yeah, man.
So much fun. So much fun. Good job.
Yeah, man, that's the way it goes.
Live TV, that's how it just happens.
So let's look at the Rodans hot spots from the Central East region. Inshore, Mosquito Lagoon flats, use top water plugs or live finger mullets for trout up to 24 inches. Offshore, slow troll, live menhaden. For king mackerel on 65 to 90 foot reefs.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
You can be quiet now. Well, stay hooked, everyone. Because right now, can I get a water? Right now, we're headed to the GARMIN Panhandle region, and then we're saying hi to our friend from Taco Marine. But first, we're going shopping with Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench for Taco Marine New Products segment. Dave, what have you been collecting for?
Oh man, I've got a U-Haul storage unit full of stuff, and I'm just cracking out a little bit at a time, like these big giant worms from Bass Assassin.
Just teasing us.
Look at that. This is a beautiful thing.
Juicy. We'll be back.
It is.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Penn, let the battle begin. Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. Best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Yamaha's reputation for saltwater reliability is driven by the 4.2-liter V6 Offshore's 97% reliability and overall performance. Reimagined with new advantages like built-in digital electric steering for incredible responsiveness and exhaust rerouting for more powerful reverse thrust. The legacy of the reliable Yamaha 4.2-liter V6 continues, now more refined and capable than ever. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
GARMIN Live Scope, I tell you right now, if you don't have it, you are behind. It's just wild. It's like a video game.
If you do not have that GARMIN Live Scope, you are definitely missing out.
Bassmaster Classic Champion!
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide and seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
It's time for the Taco Marine new products at the CCA Workbench. But guess what? We're not at the CCA Workbench. With me here on the Pathfinder is my good buddy Mark Henderson from Taco Marine. You know, Mark, last year we showed the shade fin, and we showed it primarily for applications to be in a T-top on your rod holder. Right. Since then, you guys have modified some of the applications for us inshore guys. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
You know, Rick, it was really important to us to understand that the bay boat and the flats boat market, how important it was to the families and the fishermen out there that need shadow in seconds and the shade that the shade fin offers. So it was real important for us to come out with the telescopic rod holder accessory mount. It does a great job. It's got a fulcrum that goes into a 0, a 15, and a 30-degree rod holder. It has a locking pin and a locking knob, and the cool thing about this is that this throw latch, you open it up and it rotates.
So you can rotate the sun, the shade to where you want.
Wherever the sun is, you can get out here. If your family, kids, wife, husband are out and enjoying the water, having a beverage or whatever it may be, you get right out there. You can put it anywhere on the boat, gunnel, leaning post, wherever it may be. Makes it real versatile.
You can use the rod holders there on the gunnel, as you just said. Now,
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about this mount. This mount is designed for the T-tops and the rod holders up there, right?
Yeah, it makes it really versatile. This is the adjustable rod holder mount, and you can put it in many different angles to develop and cover wherever the sun's coming from. So it actually can be used in the telescopic application as well, but all you do is you slide that bevel wedge on there, you put it in the T-top rod holder, and when it goes through the gimbal, on around the edges of that, you roll that little knob on there, holds up tight, no movement whatsoever.
So Mark, let's show everybody how easy this is to take apart. Here, we'll just rotate that back over in its position so you can stand up there on the back deck.
Yeah, so all you do, Rick, is simply pull back on an arm.
Right.
Release the pin. And
then you would pull this part out here,
That's correct.
Go ahead, pull that out for me.
Yeah.
Let's lay that right here so people can see that. And then this part also comes, if I'm not mistaken, this part here comes apart as well,
It does, Rick. This is the fixed rod holder mount.
Yeah.
That all you do is pull off. It's got a little wedge right in there, slides right into the gimbal pin. does a nice job.
And this also comes in a nice, pretty bag to where all this folds up inside.
It does. You put it together, put all the fabric inside, goes right into the mesh neoprene carry bag, put it on your shoulder strap, take it, wash it, store it for the next time. Real easy application.
So where are we going to go to buy this?
You want to go to tacomarine.com. Shadow in Seconds is the tagline, and there are many of our fantastic retailers that also have this product right on their shelf.
Well, man, it's a beautiful product. I love the fact that we have the ability to move the shade in and around the boat, and we now have shade for bay boats and the little skiffs.
Real important.
All right, but Dave, you know what? What else you got for us over there at the workbench?
Well, you know, we got one of my favorite things to do, little product here. It's called the RSB from Bass Assassin, and the RSB means the redneck spinnerbait, and that's pretty much what this is. It's a redneck spinnerbait. It's a nice big worm. It's got a really good silhouette because it's so fat. It's kind of like the Fat Job, except it's got the action tail on it. And you know, you want to put a big wide gap on it because it's such a fat worm and you got a lot of material in it. You want to use like a 5/0 wide gap, and you know, you want to rig it with the tail horizontal to the bait, not in line with it. You know, you don't want it to be straight up and down, or you want it to be to the side. That way, when you're ripping it through the lily pads or cruising along over the grass, it'll give that tail a whole lot more action. And I really love this color too, the plum apple. You're out of breath. That was a long run for you.
Man, it was.
But you know, it comes in a lot of different colors, and you can use it on a swim bait or just a regular wide gap hook. You know, if you like to fish with a worm, you can't beat a big worm. I like to use great big worms because big worms catch big fishes. So,
what do you want to talk about next?
Next, we got some Eagle Claw hooks here. We got the L200s on the ends. These are the L2000, actually, 2004 ELFs. They're the billfish non-offset circle hooks. They're the laser, really sharp hooks. It's a non-offset circle hook, which is what you want to use. You don't want to use any kind of hooks with an offset, because when you're using an offset circle hook, you're really just using a J hook, and they can catch in little soft places and then pull instead of finding the jaw like a real true circle hook will do. And we've also got the Trocars, which I really like, the Trocar AP circle there. We got some 7/0s, and those are good for bill fishing. You know, the Trocar have a 3-sided point, just like some of the surgical instruments do. So it penetrates extremely easy, like half the force that the major competitors have. I mean, it goes right in. And when you're in the jaw area, you want something that can penetrate through some pretty hard stuff. So those Trocar 7/0s are really nice. Cold forged, high carbon steel, you know, really good penetrating power.
And both made by the same company as in Eagle Claw, but the wire thickness is the difference between the laser as well as the Trocars.
Right, they're a little thicker.
We got time for this?
Yes, yeah, we can go real quick. This is the Gill Tango wet dry bag in Blaze Orange. That's the 25 liter. It comes also in the smaller one, 10 liter. If you have a little skiff or any type of, you know, little boat, you want to put stuff away, and your phones, wallet. This is great because, you know, my little skiff is a little bit of a wet skiff. Yeah, it's got a nice, it's a clear thing so you can see what's in it. And, you know, the Blaze Orange, in case, you know, you put an EPIRB, or, you know, you can make a ditch bag out of it for a big boat.
Right.
Put all your stuff in there, that if you're, you know, your VHFs and whatnot. So in case you want a ditch, you can go to Gill and get one of those really nice. Gill's been making stuff in England for a long time, so
I don't think
they make
anybody
really good stuff.
is going to want a ditch in case you have to ditch.
Exactly. It's the have to ditch bag. It's not the want to ditch bag. There's no such thing as that.
Good job over here tonight, Dave. You and Ray lit it on fire.
Ray's good.
Don't you think, Brie?
Yeah, I lit it on fire, but definitely don't want to ditch. No.
No ditching.
Nope. Captain Pat Deneen is up next in the Garmin Panhandle region and has all the goodies we'll need to get us through the weekend. Welcome back, Pat.
Hey, Brie, good to be back. I tell you what, unlike a lot of places in Florida where sailfish are targeted species, we really don't have the opportunity to target them up here. They're caught seasonally, usually while targeting other species. They can be caught May through November, with the best fishing probably being late summer and into the fall. And they're caught, sailfish are caught near shore, pretty much around anything that may congregate bait. Places like the Natural Bottom, wrecks, fads, and also the Gulf front piers. They stick well out into the Gulf. 30, 40 foot of water at the end of the pier. A ton of bait around those piers in the summertime, and they're commonly catch sailfish from the pier. But like I said, they're normally caught while targeting other fish and primarily king mackerel. Guys trolling for king mackerel with live cigar minnows or herrings, around bait schools are the guys that do happen to catch a sailfish. The only time that they're really targeted is like late fall, the 100 fathom curve out by the nipple, the elbow, the 131 hole. A lot of times there's a lot of bait that shows up out there that time of year. You go out, you find that bait using your sonar, and you troll dredges and dead ballyhoo. And at that time, you can catch sailfish and white marlin you go hope to or expect to. But staying offshore, the vermilion snapper and triggerfish fishing remains really strong. You're going to find either one of those fish over hard bottom or wrecks in 100 to 140 foot of water. I was speaking to my brother Double D of the Sure Lure in Destin today, and he says southwest of Destin there's a lot more triggerfish. Southeast of Destin, there's more mingo snappers. But if you go southwest where the more triggerfish are, the mingos you're catching out there are the bigger ones. The best technique is to use a 2-hook chicken rig with small circle hooks baited with cut squid or minnows, 1 to 3 ounce lead, and you lighten up your rig some. Maybe use light spinning rod or a bait casting type of rod to maximize your sport with these smaller fish. You can also, especially fishing for triggerfish, get by with using fish bites instead of cut baits. Pretty much cleaner and very effective. Lower your baits mid-water for the triggerfish or go all the way to the bottom. Bring up a handful of cranks for the vermilion snappers. Both are super good eating and very numerous right now. And there's a photo sent in by Captain Tony Davis on the Anastasia with a nice mixed bag of triggerfish and vermilion snappers caught out of Destin. And then moving inshore, the sheepshead are stacked up in all the passes around the jetties and the bridge pilings. Your best bet is going to be using live fiddler crabs, live shrimp, or oysters. For bait, use a sheepshead jig where basically you got a lead attached to a free swinging hook, and that's attached to your line. So there's not a Carolina type of setup. You're in direct contact with your bait. If you don't have any of those, go with a short leader on a Carolina rig and enough lead to hold the bottom. You can enhance the area you're fishing by scraping barnacles or off the bridge pilings near you, or creating a chum slick, or cracking some fresh oysters and throwing those shells overboard. Sheepshead are running up to 10 pounds with 6 to 8 pounders, pretty common. And there's a photo sent in by my buddy Chuck Kemper out in the bar with a decent sheepshead posing on the bow deck of his bay boat. And then finally inshore, the Spanish mackerel are thick throughout the Panhandle in all the inlets, from Panama City to Pensacola. Incoming tide can be really good as the Spanish are pulled into the inlet by the current. Look for the blipping on the surface. Look for small white terns hovering and dipping on the water to find them. Use a trace of wire or a 40-pound mono to minimize your cutoffs while casting jigs and spoons. But if you really want to catch them, I like to troll a multi-hook Christmas tree or straw rigs. And you can often catch them 2, 3, or sometimes 4 at a time. Most of the Spanish are running 12 to 20 inches. They're pretty tasty baked or broiled, and it's also a good time to load up on them, brine them, vacuum seal them, and then stock your freezer up for offshore trolling bait. So things are happening in the Panhandle, and it's springtime, that's for sure.
That's some good advice about making bait for your offshore trolling, Pat. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the GARMIN Panhandle region. Inshore, Destin Bridge and jetties are for large sheephead are using live shrimp, fiddler crabs or oysters, and then offshore, vermilion snappers and triggerfish on the natural bottom in 100 to 140 feet of water using cut bait and chicken rigs, Brie.
All right, Rick, we're headed to the north to see what the ALVEY Reels Northeast and the Discover Crystal River Northwest regions has in store for us. So stay hooked and we'll be right back. And as a friendly reminder to keep up with everything fishing in Florida, make sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and catch all of your fishing adventures on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy.
How about it?
How about it?
Go get it.
We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by STARTRON, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. ALVEY Reels, a better way to fish. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Finding a shoreline is easy. Finding a sure thing is not. For over 20 years, anglers from Kitty Hawk to California and every shore in between have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites. So just stop with the fishing and get busy with the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com.
Come explore untouched Florida, where you'll step into holy sea cow and fish pristine waters where you'll reel in, whoa! Come discover Crystal River with exciting adventures and incredible surprises everywhere. From exhilarating river adventures to scalloping in the Gulf to delicious fish to fork cuisine, this is the place where you can relax into Just a short drive from Tampa and Orlando is the amazing Discover Crystal River, Florida. Learn more at discovercrystalriverfl.com.
Service and reliability makes Alta Equipment the leader for all your construction equipment needs. With 7 locations across Florida and preferred brands like Volvo, Toro, Talk, Avant, and Roadtech, Alta has the equipment to get the job done. When I need equipment, I trust Alta. From agriculture to landscape to construction, Alta has you covered. For sales, rentals, service, and parts, see your local Alta Equipment dealer today or call them at 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
Welcome back. Captain Tommy Derringer is on the line and ready to go. So Tommy, fill us in on what's been good in the Alvey Reels Northeast region.
Hey, Brie, hey, Rick, hey, Dave. Everything's been good in the Alvey Sidecast Reels Northeast region. And, you know, we get a good push of sailfish coming from the south this time of year. I spoke to several of our offshore captains this week, and they tell me the key to finding the sailfish is going to be finding that cleaner blue water. Now, you can start in that 21-fathom depth and work your way on out to the Gulf Stream and even beyond that. You're going to want to look for current edges, color changes, as well as some flying fish. And, you know, one thing all these guys, they tell me that is the better or more natural that your ballyhoo swims while trolling is going to mean a big difference in getting a sailfish to bite. All those guys tell me that all the time. Now, most guys are going to troll fairly slow in that 5 to 6 knot range. They're going to drag naked or skirted ballyhoo. And, you know, as it heats up heading into summer, the sailfish push in closer near shore along some of the reefs and wrecks. Now, every year, there's a few good ones caught right at 9 Mile Reef out of St. Augustine. That's only 9 miles out. Now, every once in a while, you can even find them in as close as a mile or two of the beach when the baits get really thick, when the pogies are on the beach. I even caught one in one of those pogie pods a few years back, right there, you know, right behind where the waves are breaking. Now, no matter how you do it, sailfish is always going to be fun, and it's definitely a staple for the Northeast region offshore anglers. And I've got a photo here. This is our friend Mallory Hendricks with a really nice Northeast Florida sailfish.
Nice.
Now,
good job, Tommy.
All right, you know what, Rick? Offshore as well, the better part of our wahoo season, it's probably just about over, but you know what? The offshore guys, they're still catching some really nice ones. It's been a really great season with some really big fish caught. There's been a couple of wahoo weighed in that are over 100 pounds, including a 107-pounder that was caught this past week in that wahoo shootout tournament that's going on. Now, as we get away from this full moon and things start to warm up a little bit, the wahoo bite's probably going to slow down a little bit. But if you can find some of that clean water near the stream, there's still going to be some good fish to be had, especially in the north end of the region. And there's also some nice blackfins, even some good-sized kingfish in those same areas. So if you make your way out there, come prepared with the right tackle. Now, moving inshore, this is what I get excited about. This is such a great time. And not only are there good numbers of trout around, but April and May, that's going to be when my clients catch some of their biggest trout of the year. Now, with that early morning outgoing tide we have this weekend, the trout are going to be hanging on the edges of the ICW throughout the region, especially along the banks that have a drop-off as well as some oyster bar shells. Oyster bars and shells, that is. Now, a topwater or subsurface plug, that's going to be my go-to early, and then we'll switch over to either a Bass Assassin sea shad or a live shrimp on a quarter-ounce jig head. Now, those big gator trout, they like to eat big mullet. So if you're looking for that personal best trout, look for schools of those bigger mullet. And then I would use a large plug or a live bait like a mullet or a pinfish around those schools. Now, just remember, release and handle those big fish gently. Make sure they swim off nice and healthy. You know, more than likely spawning right now, and we really need those trout to make lots of babies. And I've got another photo here. This is Jenny McLaughlin with a huge gator trout she caught in the south part of St. Augustine with my brother, Captain Todd Derringer. How about the size of that thing?
Wow, that's a good one there, T. All right, tell me about the redfish.
Hey, Rick, man, we've got a great early morning redfish tide this weekend. With that low tide, the redfish are going to be bunched up in the creek holes and along the flats on the ICW. I spoke to Captain Buzz Brannon. He tells me there's some nice schools of redfish along the banks of the ICW, north of Sisters Creek boat ramp on that lower tide stage. Now, Buzz said the fish are in schools, but they've been a little spooky on some of the days he's been seeing them. When they are spooky like that, he's going to toss cut blue crab or mullet after he's tried some artificial lures. Now, there's also some nice schools along the ICW in the north end of St. Augustine. Look for those redfish to be hanging out where the water last drains from the flat. Now, we've been catching those redfish on bass assassin paddle tails and also on live or cut mullet. You know, topwater redfish bite starts to get really good this time of year. So if you're out early or late in the day, it's probably a good idea to bust out your favorite topwater plug, like that Berkeley Jaywalker 100 in that perfect ghost color. Rick, that perfectly imitates the mullet that have shown up in big numbers in this last week. And speaking of big fish, I have one last picture of Captain Buzz Brannon. Sent me this picture of his client, James Collins, with a huge redfish that they caught here recently in the St. Johns River.
So I got a quick question for you. Where are you? You're not on FaceTime tonight, so where are you?
You know, I've got my buddy Captain Chris. I took a rare couple of days off. We're going over to Chuckaluski. I'm going to try to catch a couple tarpon with the fly rod over the next couple of days. I'm on vacation.
All right, well, good luck. And call Ron Houston after we hang up. He'll give you the hot spot for where them poons live. And it's time to take a look at the strike zone hot spots from the northeast Alvey region. Inshore, redfish along the ICW banks on the early morning low tide. Fish the schools of bait and look for feeding fish along the drains from the flats. And then offshore, blackfin tunas at the ledge. Watch for busting fish or subsurface bait pods on your machine.
You know, Tommy might not be in his region right now, but we will be there soon. Make sure to come visit us at the Jacksonville Boat Show, April 17th and 18th. We'll be hanging out, doing some seminars you won't want to miss. What else are we doing?
You're going to show everybody how to throw a cast net.
I am. Oh. There's different ways to do different things. I'm going to show you one way.
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about? What do you have to talk about, Rick?
I'm going to talk about, I don't know.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise.
Surprise. Well, you have to come see us. All right, the Discover Crystal River Northwest region is in the spotlight with Captain Jeff Hageman. Let's get this season started, Jeff.
How you doing? It's good to be back.
Good to have you back.
What's going on, Hagalicious? Tell me.
Now, we got the occasional fish that are caught mostly by kingfish right now, and we've caught a few the last couple weeks. While trolling, anchored up for kingfish. Over any kind of structure right now, look for bait pods, birds, all that kind of stuff. Most of it's going to be a bycatch with us. Occasionally in August, we get them where we can actually target them, but right now it's more of a bycatch thing. In August, when we get out there, we'll be running spot to spot and looking for fish, and you want to look for birds, bait, flotsam, anything floating on the water, and actually these fish will be on top of the water. If it's flat enough, you'll see the fins out, and they'll be tailing, and you can ease up to them, pitch a bait to them. That's really the only time we can really target them really well. But right now it's mostly bycatch, and there are a few being caught, but not a lot on our coast. Staying offshore, Captain John Lane of JB Charters out of Apalachicola Bay reports a good mangrove snapper bite right now. He's using live or fresh dead shrimp on a 1/0 circle hook, drifting heavy chum line with anywhere from 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon leader. Fish are averaging anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds. Fishing the ledges of the reef, around 60 to 110 feet of water. Moving on inshore, Captain Jimmy Huddleston of CaptainHud.com out of Arizona reports a great redfish bite with strong tides lately and these big lunar spring tides we got right now in St. Joseph Sound. They're using white bait with a split shot real close to the hook. Just pin that hook, that split shot right on that knot right above your hook, and pitching it underneath the mangroves right there, and trees. Anything overhanging is good right now. A little bit of oysters always helps. 25 to 33 inches are the average of most of these fish right now. And as we progress, we're going to get more and more of these fish coming in from offshore. You want to use a little bit heavier leader. That 30-pound test will help you from getting cut off in that heavy cover. Moving a little bit up the coast, Captain Mike Manning out of Pasco reports a lot of redfish right now around the oysters and mangrove shorelines from the power plant up to the Cody River. He's also using live sardines. He's using free-lined or cork, and working those areas have been best. I've got a great photo here of a nice Ozona redfish from Captain.
Nice. That is a nice redfish.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is. What else you got for us, bub?
I got some snook. This is a great time of year. Everything seems to be coming alive. Everything's going to eating real well. Great time to get out and fish. Captain Jason Lineberger of Ruthless Fishing Charters out of Tampa Bay reports a great snook bite right now. But they've seen a lot of pressure right now of late, so you want to downsize your leader. He's scaling down a 20-pound test, a 1/0 circle hook, and sometimes even a number 1 to get a bite. Once you get them chummed up and going with these smaller scale sardines right now, they're producing a lot of fish right now, and even some good fish in that area too. Moving up the coast, Captain Gary Bartell out of River Adventure Tours out of St. Pete in Ozella Keys Marina in Crystal River has reported an abundance of snook right now, covering up the outer mangrove shorelines and running along the coast between Homosassa and Crystal River. You want to target the east side of the islands during the incoming tide while throwing a live pinfish, a 3 to 4 foot of 30-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 5/0 circle hook, and you want to cast near or underneath those mangrove overhangs. And I've got a nice snook here. He said there was a bigger one, but he only has video of it, of a guy you guys might recognize.
Wow.
You know what, Hack?
That was just up there recently fishing.
So here's what happened. I was up there fishing a redfish tournament, redfish everywhere, and the only thing I could catch was a snook.
Wow.
It was terrible. I mean,
he just goes like
it
this.
was like, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. You know, fish will humble you.
So there's snook. That's
All right.
what you're saying.
Yeah, there's snook everywhere up there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Keys Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. He says inshore, you wanna look for the redfish from the middle of the top of the tide. Use cut pinfish or ladyfish as bait on a 4/0 circle hook, and then grunts, sea bass, hogfish on flat rocks off of Tarpon Springs, 45 to 55 feet of water to use squid or pieces of shrimp on a chicken rig for bait.
Rick, you look like an emoji.
Yeah, I was an emoji in a STARTRON Pro Step shirt.
So what happened? Where'd all the redfish go?
They were there. It was skinny water, real shallow water, clear water, and then once the tide came in, we have run out of the time. So you had a time, it was a live weigh-in on the Power Pole Redfish Tour Series on Facebook, and so your time started at 7:30, and you had to be done at 1:30. So the first day, we didn't even have a fish until 1 o'clock. We caught 3 fish between 1 and 1:30, which put us in the race. And then the second day, the tide advanced or was later 39 minutes, and guess what? The tide never came in, and they caught them 10 minutes after we left on shrimp.
So it was snook time.
It was snook time. What can I say? You know, you can't win them all. You gotta. I'd like to just win one every once in a while.
Stay humble. Keep you humble.
All right.
All right. Stay hooked for a little longer
It
because
must have been the red shoes.
we must have. We're headed to the Real Legends Southwest region next. We'll be right back. Yes, it was the shoes.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. The IGFA. Fish for the World. Noble Air Charters. Raising the bar yet again. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Real Legends. Everything you need to live life local. And Taco Marine. Troll the edge.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide and seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
At Florida Coast Equipment, we understand you don't work banker's hours, so neither do we. You have a business to run, you have a family to feed, and you need your machine up and running. So our service team and our parts department will be there. If that means we have to stay late, we'll do it. If we have to start early, we'll do it. Because at the end of the day, you want equipment you can depend on and people you can trust, and we have a service team that will be there to service you.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with STARTRON. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with STARTRON.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Today's Power Pull tip is about the new Power Pull Charge power management station. The cool thing about the Charge is it replaces 3 systems on your boat. It replaces your traditional 3 or 4 bank battery charger, so when you're at the house, you plug it into the wall. The Power Pull Charge is going to optimize and balance your batteries like nothing ever out there. It also replaces your on-the-run charger, so anytime you've got the Yamaha running, it's going to replace the power in your trolling motor batteries and your cranking batteries all day while you're running from spot to spot. And the third thing it does, it's got an emergency start feature in it. So if you're ever out there and your cranking battery dies and you can't get the motor started, go to the Sea Monster app, transfer the power, and you're good to go. Get back to the dock. For any more information about the Power Pull Charge, you can go to powerpull.com or stop by one of your local dealers. That's your Power Pull tip.
All right, your captain from the Rio Legends Southwest region is fired up and ready to start the season. So Captain Houston, let's hear it.
Well, Brie, it's really great to be back representing the Rio Legends Southwest region, but what's even better than that is all the product I got to play with, previous product and new product in the off season. It's going to be a great year. You guys got to watch. You know, sailfish is not common in the region, but I'll tell you what's been common is the permits. Cap Mike Avenant reports with the warmer weather we have had in the last couple of weeks, the permits are starting to show up anywhere from Marco Island to Wiggins Pass, along the towers, near shore wrecks, and artificial reefs. As well as Captain Brian Sanders down to the south, he covers the area from Lossman's River up to Goodland. He's telling me the near shore structure out to about 15 miles. Both captains have reported these fish have relatively, on most days, been easy to catch. Why? Because due to the early arrivals and not a lot of pressure on these fish. They're both saying the best baits right now are going to be the live crabs. That's the #1 bait, with maybe a trocar 2 to 4.0 circle hook, as well as 40 to 60 pound fluorocarbon, depending how close you're fishing to the structure. But they're also telling me live shrimp and tip bucktails have also been working due to these fish not really being pressured. Even though we have a little mild cold front coming this weekend, it shouldn't affect the fishing. Once it warms back up, get back out and catch the permits. I've got a picture of a nice couple of permit that were caught down to the south while fishing with Captain Brian Sanders. Now still on the offshore side, the red groupers. Fish are being caught throughout the whole region. Goodland to Wiggins 40 to 55 miles out, as well as Sanibel to Stunt Pass. Now the reports I'm getting is you need to concentrate on hard bottom, but bigger or small. Some reports say a lot of fish right now can be butched up on the smaller pieces for an easy limit. Don't pass up those smaller pieces. I'm also being told, obviously, the stronger parts of the current have reducing the better bite. Your slower bite, you have to work for them, and Stalling suggests you start off with squid. Now, the mixed reports I'm getting, 7 to 10 ounces of weight, you got to be on the bottom and using cut baits like squid, herring, and sardines. And other reports I'm getting, some guys are using 6 to 8 ounce bucktails, along with squid, and also using live pinfish. And I've got another picture of some nice groupers that were caught with Chris Broom and Chad Morgan down here on the southern end. So the grouper bite's been good as long as we've got the weather. Now on the inshore side, redfish. Captain Danny Latham reports reds are scattered across the flats in Bull and Turtle Bay on the lower stages of the tide. Seem to be moving to the shorelines as the tide gets higher. But as they move on that higher tide, these fish have been grouping up.
But he also says early morning low tides, top water plug bite can be on fire using plugs like the new Jaywalker in bone, chrome, or sexy back. But Captain Joe Casaro to the south reports anywhere from Goodland, Indian Key. He's also telling me the Reds have been spooling up and biting good on the incoming tide, strictly fishing the outside points and just inside near drop-offs using live shrimp, pilchards. He's also telling me he's using a 3/0 circle hook and also try to concentrate in areas of oyster bottom. And I've got a couple nice pictures of a nice redfish caught to the north with Captain Danny Latham and a nice redfish caught with Captain Joe Casaro down to the south. Last species is going to be the snook. Captain William Faulkner, who fishes the Everglades to Marco Island, says back bays and coastal coves from Lawston River to Indian Key have been holding some good fish. Now, he strictly fishes flying artificial, so he's telling me he's using the Bass Assassin Little Boss and Bluegill Flash and the Chico's Red here on 16th and 8-ounce jig heads. But he's also telling me he's fishing along windswept, not wind-blown banks. He's also telling me lee sides of creeks on falling tides. He's also using flies that match the hatch according to the bait fish that are in the area. He's telling me using dark colors in stain water along back bays and brighter colors in Gulf waters where pilchards and pinfish are a prominent food source. Also, back up towards Goodland, Marco, and the 10,000 Islands. If you can find the pilchards and you got moderate weather, get on the outside points and beaches. I've got a nice photo of a nice snook that was caught while fishing down south with Captain William Faulkner. Looks like it's going to be a great year. Listen to the results of what myself and Captain Rick Murphy have accomplished in the off-season.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Great report from the BEALLS Southwest region. We're going to take a look at the Caddy Can inshore hotspots. Spanish mackerel, Sanibel to Stump Pass at the beaches, passes, and deep grass edges, trolling spoons, glass minnow jigs, or white bucktails with a trace of wire, and then offshore, African pompanos, Marco to Fort Myers Beach in 95 to 125 feet of water, fishing wrecks and structure. Use small live baits like shrimp or pilchards with light leaders.
Rick, can you just do, yeah, I know, just do your little emoji pose right now. So this is a reminder that now through April 6th, you can get 40% off at Real Legends Men's Apparel. Shop reallegends.com. How about that? You're a good mom.
Thank you.
You.
You just led me right down the path of destruction, but it's okay.
I led you down the path of glory. You looked great.
Real Legends path.
Real Legends glory. Okay, the reports are in and there's sailfish to reel in, but stay with us to see what we're hooking up next week too on
the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
What's it going to be? It's a secret.
Enjoy the water and your single-engine boat even more with the incredible control of Helmmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. Helmmaster EX packs the power of world-class control and automation that is changing the single and multi-engine boating experience forever. See Helmmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
We are for those who know that opportunity is nothing without preparation, those who know that the right gear can make or break a day. Born out of a need for reliability, tested and proven on the Miss Brit charter fleet. From terminal tackle to all your live bait needs, whether you're fishing for fun or looking to win a tournament, R&R Tackle has what you need to stay ready.
All right, next week we are talking snook Snook.
Snook!
Snook! I was waiting for Dave to do that.
Dave's
So
sporting
make
his
sure you
new-
tune in. It's going to be a
Dave's
good
sporting
show.
the new BEALS.
Yes.
Bahio. I got my Bahios on too.
Yeah, speaking of new, we got a new addition to the family, don't we, Brie?
We do, and he's in here, and he's due in August.
Woohoo! We're having a baby on the Florida
An
Insider
Easter baby.
Fishing Report.
An Easter baby.
I don't know, that's
I
what
don't
it
know, it's
says.
an August baby. So yeah, June, or not June, August.
August.
So you'll see me grow on the show. Thanks
Oh, yeah.
for tuning in. Let's come back
It's
next
gonna be
week.
big.
Snap next week.